Today's block of games, we're playing off of vibes. This is Cyclestance by Radiokiro. Did I play anything with Radiokiro before? Let's see. Ooh, all finished games. Oh, he made Wire? Did make Wire. That was for the O2A2 2023 jam. I love the art style and aesthetic of Wire. And I love the aesthetic, the color scheme of Wire. This has a really, heck, just from this has a really warm aesthetic to it. I like that. It's the unique things you can do with this. Death and implied. Oh, death and implied murder. So cyclestance is an anti-romance micro-VN about cycling the past to prevent yourself from making a colossal mistake. Can you actually prevent it though? Time loops? Time loops. Hell yeah. Oh, cyclestance. Cyclestance. Music volume down just a little bit. Alright. And here I am at another pivotal point in my life. Need to stop myself from confessing my love. I have 2 minutes until my body decays. There! That's my past self. Quick! Uh, distract! Didn't have to go far. I can just create a bad impression and hope for the best. That nearby trash can would be my lifesaver. Hey, be careful with that! Oops! What the? Oh, I'm so sorry! Enjoy, dirty stink bug. Smirk and wave, I disappear. Back to the future. How comical. I thought I made an embarrassing day for them to remember. Curse the red string of fate. They found another time, but different days circled in my calendar, showing that we somehow stayed sweethearts. This time, too, she has her heels over my head. Even so, with the machine I created, I cycle back in time. And here I am again, at another pivotal point in my life. Need to stop myself from confessing my love. I have 2 minutes until my body decays. There, that's my past self. Quick, talk. Hey, hmm? Hello? Waiting for someone, eh? Maybe a girl? Do I know you? You very much know me. Don't I look familiar? Not at all. Wait, that necklace. Crazy how much a person can change, huh? Let's get straight to it. Hello, my past self. It's you. Future you. Now whatever happens, do not confess your love to that girl or accept her confession. That girl is deranged. I know, because I'm her spouse. Spouse? It's crazy. It's logical. I know. I wouldn't believe me either, but listen well. Listen, will ya? You two will become sweethearts, then the most powerful scientist couple in the country. 23 years from now, a plague will spread. The vaccine will be found thanks to her and you. Oh, surprise, surprise. Inside that vaccine is a brainwashing virus which she uses to make herself the ruler of the country. Almost the whole world. Sounds like nonsense. Okay, from her perspective, yeah, that does sound like nonsense. Comical, isn't it? Until it's right in front of your eyes. I'm begging you. You're not the first past self I visited. I tried changing the world from other moments in my life too, yet the outcome is always the same. Please, cancel the date. Just go home, would you? You expect me to believe that? Weirdo. No, you don't understand. Why you always... And there we go. Those last words I decayed, disappearing into thin air. It's my fate for crossing the lines of time. My life is the consequence. It would have been worth it had I delivered my message correctly. And so in this reality, my future wife enslaved humanity under her wicked, eternal, lasting reign for the nth time. There's no point coming back to the future just to see my failure. Still, I try again. And here I am again, at another pivotal point in my life. Need to stop myself from confessing my love. I have 2 minutes until my body decays. There, that's my past self. Quick! Distract. I jumped 5 minutes ahead. She will be here this time. Sorry I'm late. It's okay, I haven't... Hands up! You're all out of her life. Huh? Help, somebody! Arm squeezing her neck, I dragged my little future wife despite her struggles, glaring at my past self who was too stunned to act. The girl bites me in self-defense. Shocked, my grip loosens and she slips away. Damn it! With full force, I snatch her bag. Her scream fades as I run. And I throw the bag as far as possible before my hand fades, followed by my entire body. How comical. Embarrassing day for them to remember? Curse the red string of fate. Another time, different days. Ah, and a powerful story. She has her heels over my head. That's a powerful line. Even so, machine I created, I cycle back in time, and here I am again, at the pivotal point in my life. There, that's my past self. Quick, distract. Running out of ideas. That second thought, I run into the middle of the road, eyes closed. it's it's that one dark humor meme that goes something like a picture of a random group of people. You run into these guys, what do you do? And the answer is just take my own life, so I become a core memory or something. I forget exactly how that goes. Eyes closed. The sound of multiple horns rips the air. 2 cars crashed into one another in front of me. The drivers run out of their vehicles trying to find who's the lunatic that tried to kill themselves. What good would this even do? Before my body erodes away, I jump back to the future. Not without stealing a glance toward my past self who was completely unfazed. Wow! How comical. Core memory failed. Curse the red string of fate. How do we break the red string of fate? Even so, cycle back in time. And here I am again, at another pivotal point in my life. Stop myself from confessing my love. I have 2 minutes until my body decays. There, quick. Talk. You! Whatever you do, do not confess to that girl. What? I'm yourself in the future. Listen. Girl's a future criminal. You can stop her by rejecting her today. It's now or never. Please, change the future, me. Hold it. What in the world are you saying? Are you crazy? I'll get you to the police. What? No, you should not be going on that date at all. Oh, I don't listen to maniacs, but sure. Convince me. Alright, we got... Listen, will you... had this conversation already. As I talk, my body gets lighter and lighter. Again. With those last words, I decay, disappearing into thin air. You'd think, like, just vanishing right in front of you would, leave an impact. But... Okay, so would have been worth it had I delivered my message correctly, but... Seems like we can repeatedly take one of these choices and see where this gets us. There. Quick. Dog. Hey, Sarah, right? Waiting for your date? Hmm? You think she's perfect for you? Can't even get a word out of them this time. Conversation died as well as my faith in direct convincing. Not like this. Tried a more casual approach, and that just completely bombed. She was the charming one, and we were the shy one. My fate for crossing the lines of time. Yep. No point coming back to the future. Still, I try again. Ooh. I traveled back in time. I was ready for the consequences. Would have killed my past self. Yet had I not been alive then, the future plague would take innocent lives that I could have saved. Need to live, to keep trying. Just need to get rid of my wife. Coward. I know that from the beginning I need to. Oh no. And here I am again, at another pivotal point in my life. Isn't that your date? I hesitated for so long, but I know even after countless rewinding. Huh? Two kindred souls will find each other, lead each other to the inevitable sweet doomsday. That's our future wife. Weird, isn't she? Only you knew her. I'm talking about you. Sorry I'm late. It's okay, Two of you? Hmm? Hey, what are you doing? Let go of her! Huh? Let go! Somebody! Help! Can't just let a feeling die. Sometimes it's way more persistent than the person themselves. I stare at my dirty hands, fading into nothingness. The sidewalk is empty and nobody on the road seems bothered by the two unconscious girls near the bus stop. This I never exist. I'd never know what will happen in my time, in the future. Well, the cycle has always been pointless from the beginning. Well. Oh, when we start again, I don't see a point in resetting. But will you do anyway? If we say no, back to the title screen. Okay. Do reset. If we distract 3 times in a row, you get that little interlude. And if we do it a 4th time, is there really a point? So now we're forced to talk. Do we have to exhaust both options to get the desperate solution? The cycle has always been pointless from the very beginning. And alas, it comes to an end. Leaves me feeling very melancholic. In a good way, but a lot to think about, I think. A lot to think about. Yep, one outcome, multiple choices. You can choose maximum 3 times each. That makes sense. 2 characters? Question mark? That is clever. That is clever. I do like that. I vibing with the like really the future Sarah does come off feeling very out of time. Or outside of time. The rest of the scene is very down to earth and mundane. Just a girl, waiting for a date. Just Sarah waiting for a date. And meanwhile, future Sarah comes in like a bat out of hell, desperate to change a desperate future, and we don't know about any of it outside of Sarah's own opinion here. Or opinion, own experiences, own told experiences. It's interesting. I like this. Final Judgment. Yeah, that's like the thoughts and feelings of the main character, Sarah, really clashes with the down to earth and warm setting, and that's very much intentional and it very much works, and I like that. It's very. I don't think I'm nearly educated enough to say this with any confidence, but it feels like very sci classical science fiction time travel story almost, which ends in a very don't know if dark way is the right word for it, but hopefully that makes sense. Ends in a very bleary way. It's leaves you at that think best how I put it, leaves me feeling melancholic. I really like that. Let us move on then. All right, maybe the theme of this micro video is going to be melancholy. This is I'll Be Home With You by Knickknack PJ. I've played a few Knickknack PJ games before. We played Making a Monster. This was one of the ones that goes on my list of games where I got the best ending and did not want to go back and get any worse endings because my God, put our poor protagonist here through some serious internalized self hatred through the trading dummies. Poor Lou. We also played No Fucks Left to Give. No bleep left to give. Also played Perfect Portrait in the O2A2 2023 Queer Edition, which was the really clever portrait painting simulator, which was the very clever commentary on AI art generation. Very cool stuff here. Ooh. This also looks very thought-provoking. Please don't understand me. But this is I'll Be Home With You. This letter is not a last will and testament. We've already done that. I write to remind you, both and I write this to remind you both and myself of how much I love my dearest siblings. The last things you do and what comes after you're gone. Ooh. There's just one tale here. Death and dying of terminal illness. Story is centered around death and dying of terminal illness. Please be safe. Take care. Very, make sure this opens the right game. Okay, here we go. Please proceed with caution. Keep yourself safe. Jump party project. Begin. Oh no. To Sunny and Noah. You both may be confused to find this letter in the mail. Admittedly, I wrote this in a rush at the hospital because I don't know exactly when my time will come. I don't know how much I would be able to talk with you guys if you visited me too late. Plus, my memory isn't the greatest recently, so I figured it would be good to tell you both things I hoped I already said. This letter is not a last will and testament. We've already done that. Write this to remind you both and myself of how much I love my dearest siblings. Oh no, the picture's already gonna get me. Don't you think my situation is ironic? Working with death was my life as a mortician, and yet I'm terrified of it as it comes closer. Work so closely with corpses to come to terms with my illness. And here I am at the threshold, wondering about the people who are so calm when death comes, wondering about the people who want death to come. Perhaps I should feel terrified like this. Perhaps I shouldn't tell you two my feelings before I die. Usually letters like these would say things like how I don't regret my life turning out like this. Maybe that's how people calm themselves and others when their time comes. While I am proud of what I was able to accomplish with you two, I still can't help but feel bitter that my life was shortened like this. I wanted to attend your wedding, Noah. I know how much you love Nick. I know how much you struggled to find a fine man like him after struggling with yourself for a while. I'm so happy to have met him before I pass. I know he's going to take good care of you. Just wish I could have survived long enough to see you two walking down the aisle in your wedding suits. Sonny, I know you're gonna blame yourself for not saving me sooner. I know you poured a lot of time and work into becoming a doctor for my sake. But neither of us could have ever guessed that my illness could turn out like this. I know you tried hard, but don't reflect on yourself as a failure. You're only human, and a human's reality is that there is no cure for death. There's so much I wanted to do and see, and yet I'm stuck here watching the reflection in the window wither away. Can't do anything but watch, and it's so frustrating that I won't be able to see the happiness both of your lives will have. So I'll leave you two with something I know will make you happy. It's the least I can do, after burdening you both with caring for me. Flower field next to our home, where we pick flowers for our clients. I picked some to make room for new flowers. I placed the picked flowers next to the spot we usually sit when we chat while sorting flowers. Personally, I would love for them to be used for Noah's wedding. I don't know if they'll survive by the time the wedding comes around. In those flowers' places, I planted the yellow daffodils you both always wanted. Only meant to plant them before the frost comes in November, so I had to do them quickly before I became too ill and before the chill settles in. There's a funny smell to the field. That's probably from me vomiting, thanks to the illness. Sorry about that. Maybe they'll help with the fertilizer? I worked really hard to dig the right depth for those bulbs. So hopefully my efforts and the pain was worth it, even if I can't see it in the end. Remember, you need to water those daffodils in spring, otherwise they won't grow. Don't overwater them either, because they don't like being too wet. I know I said I was terrified of being so close to death, but thinking back to when I was planting those daffodils, I felt calm. Even as I could feel my strength leaving me each time I had to take a break from digging, I felt like Persephone, picking flowers while waiting for her future to take her to her new home. Was she scared? Was she excited when Hades appeared before her? I want to believe she was at least happy that, at last, her partner came. She can finally be away from what bound her. So it calms me to know my remains will be in that flower field. I actually can't recall if I told you to, stated it in my last will and testament. I know I stated over and over how much I personally would love my body to decay in the field, to have the plants, animals, and bugs take what I don't need anymore so they can thrive. I'm afraid of traumatizing you both with seeing my rotted body when you pick the flowers for clients, so please don't worry about, carrying out my wishes to its full extent. Love you both and don't want to trouble you more than I already have in my entire life. I'm perfectly fine with being cremated and having my ashes spread instead. I know this, that even if my ashes aren't able to settle in the soil, even if my body never touches those flowers after I die, those daffodils bloom in the spring, I'll be home with you. As my gift to my favorite brother and sibling in the world, I could have asked for a better family. Couldn't have asked for a better family. I'm sorry to have been a financial strain on you both. Please be happy for me, even after I'm gone. Always and forever, as your sister, that will always love you. Bernie. Oh man, that was good. That was good. Uh, Ooh, uh, ooh, give me a second to collect myself. I don't know what hit. She it definitely started losing composure there a little bit. I can't sit here and talk about this too much. I was going to start losing my composure again and need to pause again, but because that hit hard, that hit hard. I don't know which hit me the hardest, but just had to have been just started near the beginning with the thoughts about her siblings and please don't please don't blame yourself. I want you to be happy for my sake. That that every God, it's like the emotions that's coming from for Bernie. I could not even begin to directly relate. God, that feeling just thinking about what just the sheer heart and love for her siblings to be thinking about. To be thinking about how they'll feel leaving the with knowing that she's going to die and how it's going to affect them. And please do not blame yourselves. I love you and I want you to be happy. And everything she went through while she still could, just thinking in her heart of them and everything they had together, siblings. You think that obviously her siblings came together to do for her and wanted to repay that back before she couldn't anymore. See, I'm talking about it too, talking about it too much, and it's getting me again. It's getting me again. Oh God, let's, God, let's move along. Let's move along before I start crying again. All right, moving on to We Listen, Under the Rain by Ruminio, which is their first published, first directly published work. They have a list of games they've worked on. This design looks interesting. They do UI design, primarily, which is a really intriguing collection here. Have we seen Limbo, Lambo? Oh, that looks... Oh, that looks very interesting. How would I miss this for Spooktober? That looks really, really cool. Huh. Getting distracted here, browsing through its pages. But this is Vibes. This is Vibes Hours. And we have a short VN for O2A2. Tagline is simply, "It's never too late for forgiveness. On a dark, rainy night, an abandoned bus stop, you encounter a ghost with unfinished business. And oh no, the itch is feeling weird at the moment. One moment. Alright, here we go. We listen under the rain. Oh, I like that rain volume. It's like that's the ambient track we've got. Let's begin. The rain's still not letting up. There's a particular chill in the air as well. Could it be him? No, he's wandered off in search of his brother. Fairly sure it wasn't in this direction. Nothing much I can do but wait for them to approach me. Alfred? Ooh. Hello there. I mean you. Talking with the others and helping them. Can you help me? Gladly. May I know your name? Oh, you can call me Alfred. Oh, you can call me Alfred. Sam. I don't know how long I've been here. I think should perhaps move on soon. That's wonderful. Yet you have things weighing you down, yes? Yes. I lost contact with my brother. And all over a, silly little thing, in retrospect. If only I just gathered up my courage and apologized. No, I suppose it's too late for anything now. Can I ask what happened between you and your brother? I had a garden. It was my pride and joy. It still is. Samuel's expression softens into a smile as he recalls his garden. I had quite a variety of flowers, some herbs too. But my favorite has always been a small pot of forget-me-nots. Ah, could it be? The smile vanishes, the air turning somber. My brother always hated seeing people upset. He always did his best to cheer them up. I was distraught that day, because the forget-me-nots were wilting. They were special, you see. Grandmother had given them to me shortly before she passed away. He pauses, taking a deep breath as if to steady himself. I felt like I was failing her again. Dan wanted to help, but he didn't understand how. He moved them to a different spot in the garden, thinking it would be fine if they got more sunlight. I found them completely withered the next day. Samuel's voice cracks, his form flickering slightly with emotion. I was devastated. I lashed out at him, said things I shouldn't have. Tried to explain, tried to apologize. I was too hurt, too angry. I told him to leave and never touch my garden again. He lowered his head, voice heavy with regret. We stopped talking after that. I couldn't see that he was trying to help, that he was grieving too. It was too late by the time I realized my mistake. Never reconciled before I passed. Dan wanted to help. They were wilting. Dan wanted to help. He didn't understand how. God, isn't that a real and tragic sort of brief interaction here? Wanted to help. Didn't quite know how. Inadvertently steps in it and causes a big blow up purely out of grief. If only I didn't cling to stubborn pride. Well, it had been partly my fault then. Oh, there he is. Long time no see. I've been around in the area for a while. I heard everything. I'm sorry, too. I shouldn't have moved your flowers. I know how important they are to you. And yet, I still did it because I thought I knew better. Really shouldn't have tried to make up excuses in the first place, too. I accept your apology. I shouldn't have said the things I did earlier. Earlier. We're okay now? Yes. Well, Ma did always say we were both too proud and stubborn for our own good. Just like Pa. Just like Pa. Oh, why are you here anyway? Well, I've been around in the area for a while. I saw you around sometimes. Never got the courage to speak up until this guy over here, he points to me, talked to me, convinced me to actually man up a bit and talk properly to you. That'll take a bit of time to gather up the courage, but, well, here I am. I wasn't aware you were both related until you talked about your forget-me-nots. Oh. Well, I'll leave you both to catch up with one another. I'll be nearby if you need anything. I watched the two brothers talk for a little while longer, then sink into a comfortable silence watching the rain. A ghostly bus appears in the distance and comes to a stop in front of us. Seems like your ride is here. Thank you. Listening. For my brother, too. Yeah, thanks, friend. Couldn't have done it without you. Farewell. Brothers board the bus that will take them to the afterlife, stopping for a moment to wave goodbye. The bus silently disappears into the night as the rain slows to a stop. Glad to see that's all well and done. Now then, pick up my umbrella while heaving a weary sigh. Time to start walking. It's a long way back to civilization. That's really interesting. I love the concept. And that's a really wholesome little little story there. That's a really wholesome little story there. When I say I love the concept of like a human who can see ghosts and who kind of presumably helps guide ghosts to this little bus stop that will pick them up and take them on to the afterlife. And by hanging out at this bus stop, where the afterlife bus stops, can encounter those ghosts who are lingering behind with regrets who aren't quite ready to go over. That's a really cool concept. And this little story, God, it's so real. The feeling of you're both grieving. Maybe you take action. Maybe you take an action that you think is the right decision, and that causes a blow up. Your prides clash, and because your pride clashed, you can't really hash it out, and so it just simmers. Sometimes it's as easy as just finally letting go of that pride and talking. But man, that was lovely. That was lovely. Easiest verdict I've ever typed out here. Yeah, it's a little supernatural ghost story, but it still felt so real in terms of what actually caused their regrets. And thought that they were there. That Dan was there the whole time. That they both, think about it, they both, in their passing, regretted this little blow up and never reconciling. And now, our guy Alfred connected those dots and let them work it out. And once they built that bridge again, it left them willing to finally get on the bus and pass on. Beautiful. Beautiful. Very good. Our last game for this batch is Black Lace and White Lies by Waffrus. Ooh, there's a bunch of games in here. With a very powerful vibes here, storybook-like. Scarlet Heels. Ooh, a Magical Girl game. Short mystery, mild horror. Ooh. Gilded Stage. I missed. I keep. Is this why I love trying games on vibes alone? And I'll occasionally find other games from past jams which look really cool in their own right. Very cool, very cool. Ooh. Always like stories we can make choices and see where the path leads. Heck yeah, preach. So, first of all, design stands out to me. The aesthetic of that title screen there stands out to me. Unease, slow horror, 1,000 words, implications of murder. 3 possible endings. Let's do this. Let us adjust. Ooh, there we go. Black Lace and White Lies. Let us begin. I sat quietly in my tiny kitchen, eyes flickering over my shabby, run-down home. The more she observed, the more she shifted uncomfortably on the cold wooden bench. Suppose I did forget to leave out the cushions. It's been a while. and mustered up the energy for a proper reply. Ooh, very... Dave. Very clear black and white response here. Not long enough. Her face twitched before she let out a deep sigh. You didn't deserve father. Ooh! I continued before she could retort. I want you out of my house, stepmother. So that's what this was all about. We never failed to disappoint. She tossed a business card at my face, glancing down at her untouched cup. Thanks for the tea. Any further communication will be through my lawyer. I soon found out that father had been living in her house. I was owed nothing. And won. Useless. Simple enough. It's nice to see you. She stared at me before sipping her tea to collect herself. Oh. I won't apologize. I spent the next few minutes pouring out the heartfelt speech that I had prepared. It was full of sorrow and regret for trying to sabotage her relationship with father. I even tearfully mentioned that particular day she was drenched in wine, glistening in burgundy and expensive creamy silk. Her posture was stiff, still unsure what to make of my words. I'm sorry. Her hand trembled as she took another sip. I could see the glassy wetness in her eyes. Her cup was nearly empty by now. This is an interesting choice. Refill her tea, her lips raised ever so slightly. She always did have a sweet tooth, and I had practically dumped the whole bag of sugar for this batch. Are we poisoning her? Conversation meandered. She was nursing her third cup by then. She was saying something about father when she trailed off, slumping into her seat. I checked her pulse. Yep. It was faint. Waited until it was gone. Then, in the middle of the night, we took a little road trip, stepmother and I. That gold digger seduced father kept away from me for nearly a decade. I wasn't going to let her be anywhere near his grave. We watched her corpse sink into the swampy water. I smiled. On the road. Woohoo! Yeah, that. Call it that. Leave alone. I can't forgive you. It's too late for that now. I understand. Then she left. I quickly began cleaning up. The remainder of the tea went down the drain, and I tossed the whole tea set into the dumpster. I waited. 2 weeks later, her lawyer contacted me with terrible, terrible news. When she had driven home that day, there was an accident. Her car careened right off a cliff into the water. There were barely any remains left when they eventually fished her out. Investigation results suggested that she had fallen asleep at the wheel, exhausted from her recent loss. I smiled as I packed my meager belongings. It had taken several months, but the estate of my dearly departed parents was finally settled. I locked the door to the cabin, saying a silent farewell. The way up to this place was more curve and slope than anything else. It would be my last time down this treacherous road. I don't know what father ever saw in this rotting shack. I didn't plan on ever coming back. After all, I was finally going to have a proper home, lovingly prepared by my late stepmother. Welcome home. Well. Shabby rundown home. That certainly did escalate. But she bails. We get nothing from her father because... Interesting that... Comparing notes on these endings, it... leaves an interesting perspective here. We consider her the gold digger. Father been living in her house. I was owed nothing. Yeah. I say the expressions on that sprite are very lovely. Just the change from the unhinged to the almost softened and contemplative. And then, yeah, almost warm here. That gold digger. That produces a really interesting picture of the plot here. Maybe it goes to show that there are two sides to every story here. Maybe she already got money, or maybe our boy's perspective here is in fact flawed. Wherein she is still where our character still bitter over how his father's remarriage went and how it almost pushed them out of his life, and built this picture of her as a result of just losing him in the exchange. And the reality was something completely different, perhaps. That also escalated quite quickly. Little did she know, she was, in fact, holding her own corpse here. My final verdict here is, as someone who had step-parents, well, stepfather, but that's, I think, the best takeaway from this is that the way just the separate endings here paint a really interesting picture of the actual dynamic in the relationship here. Was stepmom here a gold digger? Or was she the primary financial breadwinner of the relationship? Dad had a shabby cabin. Stepmom has a really fancy house and a sizable estate. Our character clearly thought that it was a sizable estate for them after their father died. The 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 uh, the tell her to fuck off ending reveals that it was in fact hers, and we get nothing. It makes some really interesting. I like that. It's a fun little twist to put the pieces together in. Enjoyed that. Very good. Give you a follow and enjoy. That is our melancholic vibes episode. Until next time, until then.